Hello, wonderful viewers. As always, I'm Doris Ufoegbune. I hope you are well. Wonderful viewers, I want to let you know the harassment that Kevin has been experiencing since attending the University of Toronto. Right now, he's trying to defend his thesis. He's just sitting at the university, but he's not allowed to defend his PhD thesis because Antoinette Gagne of the University of Toronto told him that the university has placed systemic barriers, systemic racism on his PhD, therefore that he's not allowed to defend his thesis. His funding was misappropriated. He never received any funding. He found a way to sponsor himself through school, and yet, after paying that much money, they are not allowing him to defend his thesis, and this is terrible. So let me tell you the first time I met Antoinette Gagne, and when I didn't even know it was Antoinette Gagne, because she never disclosed her name. So in 1999, December 1st of 1999, I was erroneously sued by Jim Miller, supported by Antoinette Gagne of the University of Toronto. Miller claimed that she had an alleged relationship with Hugo, the father of my children, and that the relationship lasted about a year or a year plus and then crumbled. So 21 years later, Jim Miller, with the support of Antoinette Gagne, decided to redo the separation. So they secretly invited Hugo so that they could reconcile and redo the separation. Unfortunately for them, Hugo refused to do the separation, to do a mediation. So when that failed, Miller, with the support of Gagne, decided to ambush me and sue me so that they could appropriate my home, because I just bought a new home, appropriate my finances, take my land in Nigeria, as they told me in court that they were after my land in Nigeria. They told me that one Felix Ebo of Hamilton, Ontario, and Binta Ebo of Windsor, Ontario, told them that they were the rightful owners of my property. So by them suing me, they would be able to appropriate my property, of course, take away Hugo. So those were their plans, and that's why they waylaid me. And like I said, I've never heard about Miller. I've never heard about Gagne. Hugo never told me anything about these people. I didn't know them. I was 17 years into my marriage. So, like I said, when the mediation failed, they decided to sue me, to bring me to court, to answer or tell them who gave me the right to marry Hugo and have 3 children. And that was exactly what they did at the preliminary. Hugo had hired Jerry Chemovis, who bombarded me with questions about marrying an African man and having 3 children, who gave me the right, knowing that Hugo had a relationship that crumbled 20 or 21 years ago, and that I had no right to do that. So they brought me before Justice Danielle Janice. In that court, there was no Chaco, who claimed to be representing Miller. In that court, there was no Gagne, Antoinette Gagne, whom I now discovered that was Antoinette Gagne, and there was no Miller. It was just me. That they were asking Chemovis was making the announcement, or I don't know what else to call it, that I married my husband without knowing that he had a relationship. And then Justice Janice said, that's a story for another day. So before Justice Janice adjourned the court, she then asked, Is there someone else for this case? And that's when a voice from the back answered and said, Mila. And she said that she was there for the culture. She was there for the culture. Whose culture was Mila going to appropriate? Then court was adjourned. We left. It was the worst day of my life. The worst day of my life. I can't even tell you. So after that, now we had to go for the main hearing. So during the actual hearing, before the actual hearing started, two women, now I know who they are, Antoinette Gagne and Jim Miller, came to me because they thought that after they had humiliated me during the preliminary that I was going to run. It was brutal. So they came to me to harass me, and they asked me why I came back. They said if I knew what was good for me, that I should go back to where I came from. They looked at me and called me an African that can't speak English. They told me they were going to put a lien in my house, and that's how they would be able to take away my home. They told me that Ugo belonged to them. They told me all sorts of things. They called me aggressive, abusive. They say, who gave me the right to come here? They kept pounding on the fact that I had, I gave birth to 3 children. They said, who gave you the right to do that? And then I don't know how they discovered that I had quit my job, because with the lawsuit, it was so devastating. I had to quit my job. I couldn't function, so I quit my job. So they asked me, they said, who asked you to quit your job? Because they were asking for $120,000. So me quitting my job was not going to help them to get that money. So they told me that, of course, that they are white, they have privilege. So they were going to use their perceived white privilege to get me out of my marriage. So by the time we went for the actual hearing, Justice David Steinberg was the presiding judge. He was not aware of what had happened outside the court, in front of the courtroom. So Chaco, who was representing Miller, started talking about land again, land in Nigeria, land. And I knew it. I said, so they had come to take my home, to take my land, and finances and everything, because we just had bought a new home. So Miller waited until we bought a new home to come to say, oh yeah, there was this relationship that nobody was aware of. Ugo's parents never knew about this relationship, to the best of my knowledge, because nobody ever discussed it. So the judge, I must tell you, Justice Steinberg was very fair, I must say that. But one thing that I didn't like was the fact that they started attacking me because I'm a black woman. They had to say things like, oh, it's the wife. It's the wife. How? I was waylaid and sued. Nobody saw that. And they also talked about, oh, getting a job and stuff like that. I mean, those things that Justice Steinberg said, he wouldn't say it to a white woman. And that was awful, because I am the real victim. My children and I are the real victim. You don't wait 21 years to come to an African woman to tell her that you had some alleged relationship that she was not privy to, and that you're going to sue her and take away her home. That was very sad. And the fact that they told me that they were going to make my life miserable if I stayed in my relationship, that was very troubling. That was threatening, to say the least. And now, so many years later, my son went to do his PhD. And the harassment started all over again. Antoinette Gagne, the same Antoinette Gagne that was harassing me in court, is now harassing my son, telling Kevin that the University of Toronto has placed systemic barriers, systemic racism on his PhD. therefore, that they will not allow him to defend his thesis. His dissertation is sitting at the University of Toronto. Despite making so many attempts to see that he defended his thesis, they are not allowing him to do that. We have gone to the president, we have gone to the ombudsman, as you can, you've seen on his video or listened to his video. Today, we are still suffering the effects of that lawsuit, that malicious lawsuit that Miller and her, I don't know what to call them, I don't know the kind of, what relationship they have. Gagne has to disclose the relationship she has with Miller. It's very important because throughout the court hearing, Gagne did not say a word. If she's secretly harassing my son, wouldn't she have said something in court? But she did not say anything. Her name did not appear in any court document. Everything was secretive. So now she's harassing my son. I want to ask Gagne, Antoinette Gagne, directly why she's harassing my son. She has to come out. Gagne, I'm telling you, stop hiding behind closed doors, because this is a disgrace to a whole university. You are bringing your personal vendetta. I don't know what you're fighting about. I don't know you. I've never met you. I didn't even know your name until 2022. I don't know if you are a mother, because mothers do not attack other people's mothers or other people's children, excuse me. When we went to court, when you people started harassing me and bringing this case, as a mother, I said to Jerry Chamovis, please, let's sit down together, bring the alleged individual that you guys decided to say you are looking for money for him, I don't know him. I said, as a mother, please, let's sit down and talk this thing over. You people said no. You said no. And you African woman, you should leave the house. I have to leave my house. I met my husband in Nigeria. My husband is from the same place. We speak the same language. We have the same culture. So why would I have to leave my home for white people? Why? Isn't that racism? And you guys turned down my offer to sit down and talk, to see what you guys are talking about, because I was not understanding it. Now you are after my son. This is an act of cowardice. You should not be attacking someone's child behind closed doors. You should come out and say, this is the reason why I'm doing this. I am appealing to everybody. I have spoken to the police. Yes, I have. And when I spoke to this wonderful police woman, she told me, she said, Doris, please do not think for one brief moment that we like what is happening to your son at the university, what the University of Toronto is doing to your son. We do not appreciate it. That's what she told me. And for legal reasons, I can't tell you other things. And she told me what to do. I have not seen your name in any of the court documents, like I already said. The only name that is appearing there is Terry Wolf. Who is Terry Wolf? Antoinette Gagne, who are you? That you told all the professors to harass my son? To harass my son? And you didn't tell them that you guys have collected money from an innocent African woman. Collected money from me. And I was forced to sell my home and start all over again. And it's not enough for you, Antoinette Gagne. And now you came back to harass my son and said that he won't have education, that he won't have an education. For what reason? I don't know if you're a mother. I don't know if you have children. Because if you have children and you're doing this to someone else's child, oh, Antoinette Gagne, shame on you. Shame on you. Big shame on you. And again, I don't know why the University of Toronto is allowing this nonsense to happen. A whole university. The president cannot do anything. And by the way, OAZ, you need to change your act. I'm telling you this. Because so many things. I haven't even talked about other people. I'm going to be putting videos to show how corrupt that system is. I've never seen, listen, I've never seen where a whole professor is saying that a whole university has, and you put it in writing. Sometimes I wonder, what is happening in people's brain? And you chose my son to do this to. let me tell you, we have God. It's because of God that we discovered who you were. Because we never knew. And it was troubling. And this is exactly what I told the police officer. I said, you know, every day I kneel down, I will kneel down to pray to God. Every time I kneel down and I pray to God, I say, please disclose who Antoinette Gagne is. And God has revealed. And he will continue to reveal. I believe in God. He is my privilege. God is my privilege. You might have all the privilege that you claim you have, to remove people from their homes, that this is what you do. You know what? You are not God. God is supreme. The university, they have no choice but to allow my son to defend his thesis. Kevin is a 4.0 average student for both his master's and PhD, all at the University of Toronto. So isn't this a shameful thing? Does anyone have to tell you people that this is so shameful, that this is happening? Is this something we should be discussing in the 21st century? That a young man is not allowed to defend his thesis because you place systemic barriers. That's a big shame. That's a big shame. And he's been coming, you see how calm he is? And he's begging you people and say, please, this is so detrimental. It's not healthy. Please, I'm begging you people, just allow me. Do you people, including the president, do you people have children? Do you people have children? Because if you have children and you are marginalizing someone else's child, oh, let me tell you, I don't have the privilege you people have. Antoinette Gagne has been telling people that if I were to go public, it would be peril. This is a chance. When I fight for my son, when I fight for my children, when I fight for children of the world, I don't care what's going to happen to me. I've seen what happened to Viola Desmond, and I'm calling out to them. Everybody, I say, it happened to Viola Desmond, and you people, you made up all these stories, Gagne carrying rumors. You didn't tell them that you people had collected money from an innocent African woman. What a shame. And all of you that have participated in this, you know who you are. Only slow, one by one, I will be calling you. Even those people from Africa. And you people, at some point, you were using the N-word on an innocent young man, showing him people, hanging from nooses. Who does that? What kind of zoo are you people running? Let me just tell you, this is pathetic. If I haven't told you before, it's pathetic. You people, we have been pleading, especially to the president, and you gave my son false hope. And that's why this thing dragged. Yana had been writing to Kevin and saying, oh no, don't worry, we're going to help you. I guess we have to make the emails public so that people can see man's inhumanity to man. What you guys did to my son, it brings tears to my eyes, but I'm not going to cry. Let me just tell you, I will continue to pray to God because the wicked shall never go unpunished. Let me tell you, what you are doing to my son is really bad. It's awful. It's awful. You guys are harassing him. And Gagne, you need to stop the harassment. That harassment, let me tell you, it ends today. It ends today. We don't have any media to help us to do this. But thanks to Twitter, YouTube, they are there. People are responding. We're going to keep on putting the video. Somebody has to listen. Because if you people keep claiming, oh, diversity and inclusion. Where's the diversity and inclusion? All I'm seeing is division and exclusion. That's all I'm seeing. This is all virtue signaling. You want to help black people. If you are already inclusive, you won't be talking about it. And here's somebody who can help his community. That's why he's doing the PhD. He's not doing it because he wants to be proud. He's already helping his community just to do his PhD to help the younger generation. And you people are trying to stunt him, to sabotage his work. He cannot do any work. He can't even teach because of you, Antoinette Gagne. I know what you've been doing. Now it is obvious what you've been doing. Chasing my son. Chasing him everywhere, teaching. Yes, you have been doing it, and I'm calling you out. Stop hiding and tell me why you are chasing us, because I don't know who you are. Ugo never told me about you. I just found out about Mela when I was sued. So you people have to stop. Enough is enough. Wonderful viewers, this is not just my fight. This is not Kevin's fight. It's not our fight. is everybody's fight. Nobody's free until everyone is free. So we need to continue to fight injustice. If we say that Canada is a great place, we want people to come here, we need to stop this racism. Throughout the time we were doing Flavors of Africa, we never talked about racism. We only had good things to say. But now, if you don't talk about your problems, you know what happens? It will continue. Yes, it's happening to us. So, wonderful viewers, go to our YouTube channel, try to leave a comment. We have to fight this injustice. And Kevin has to defend his thesis. He must. Thank you for listening, and may God bless you.